It is getting really close to baseball season, so today we're going to go through my division winners from all six divisions, starting with the AL East, which in my opinion is the best division in baseball by a pretty good shot. And the team I've got winning is the Toronto Blue Jays. Since they were able to play in Toronto at the end of last season, they were 25-11 at home. This year they'll have a full home schedule. I think they'll be pretty good at home, and I think they'll find a way to win this division. It's very good. The Yankees and Rays are good teams, and Boston just added Trevor Story. They were a playoff team as well. Tampa, we all know how good they are. They're the favorite at the moment. But I think the Blue Jays, this is their year. They went out and got Matt Chapman. They've added Jose Barrios last year. They lost Robbie Ray, but I really like Jose Barrios, and I think they have some good young pitchers like Nate Pearson that are going to help them out and win the division. The rest of the division is really strong, but I just think the Blue Jays are slightly better than everybody. I just think they got the young stars, and they're the team that's moving up, where Tampa is kind of losing guys. They had to, lose some guys. The Yankees didn't have the best offseason. I know Toronto added some guys, but they don't really have any starting pitching. So I'm going with Blue Jays to win the AL East, although I think that this team will have 3 to maybe even 4 playoff teams with the new wild card rule. So Blue Jays, I think they're winning the AL East. On to the NL Central. The NL Central was mainly the White Sox division last year, but the Twins went out and made some moves, and that's why this is one of the divisions. I think the Twins are going to find a way to win it. I don't know if the White Sox will end up being a wild card team. I think it's going to be tough with the good teams in the AL East, but I think the Twins find a way to win this division. They went out and they made the move. They got Gio Urshela. They got Gary Sanchez. They added Carlos Correa. They added Sonny Gray to the rotation. They've got some pitching now. They got added some bullpen arms. They've got some stars on offense. And if Byron Buxton can stay healthy, this team can win 90 games. And I think that's all they got to do. Chicago, I believe, had like 88 wins last year. And it's a weaker division. You can beat up on Detroit, beat up on Kansas City. Cleveland's not terrible, but they're not playoff worthy. Like if you can take care of those games, win those divisional games, split the season series with the White Sox, 10-9 with them, and that's really all you got to do to win the division. You beat up on the other teams and just slightly edge out the White Sox when you play them, and you're going to win the division. The White Sox will be close, but I think these are going to be teams that are going to win the division and not make a wild card because of how good the rest of the AL East is. And no matter who wins this division, I don't see them doing much in the playoffs. I think the Twins are going to do it. The White Sox are a good team, but I think the Twins win it. On to the AL West. The AL West is a shocker to some people. I got the Angels winning it. I think it's finally their year. They've added the right pieces in Noah Syndergaard, in my opinion. They've added some speed with Tyler Wade at shortstop, and I think they're going to be a good team this year. I think with the fact that the Astros don't have a shortstop is an issue for them. The losing Carlos Correa and not really adding a big name. I know they were talking to Trevor Story a little bit, but Correa was a big piece for them. And I know they got some young players, and they've got good pitchers as well. Justin Verlander being back. But I think it's finally going to be the Angels' year. Noah Syndergaard is a guy I like a lot. If he can stay healthy, the Angels are a team that's really based on health. I know I've said it with the Twins and Byron Buxton, and it really applies to every team. But if Mike Trout stays healthy, Rendon stays healthy, you get good contributions from young players like Brandon Marsh and Joe Adell, along with your pitching from Ohtani and Noah Syndergaard, like all guys that have had injury issues. They all stay healthy. This is a team that's easily going to be relevant, and I think they can win the division just because I think the Astros losing Carlos Correa hurts them, and they're not going to be as good as they've been in the past. As far as a representative from the World Series from the American League, it's got to be an AL East team to me. Like I think the AL East is so far ahead of these other divisions that they're just going to steal all the wild cards and they're going to roll through the playoffs, whether it's Toronto, whether it's Tampa, or even New York or Boston. I just think those 4 teams would win the other 2 divisions in the American League easily, and they'd be favored in those divisions. The American League East is just dominating that division, but I think the Angels find a way to win the West. On to the National League. National League East, I've got the Braves repeating and winning this division. I think they're really good. I wasn't a fan of them not re-signing Freddie Freeman, but Matt Olson is a better player, and signing him to a long-term extension is a big deal. Acuna is back. I know they lost some guys like Jock Peterson, Jorge Soler, but Acuna makes up a lot for that. Ozzie Albies is still there. That infield is still together. You just changed Freddie Freeman for Matt Olson, which is, not a loss at all. Might even be an addition. The only thing you're losing is Freddie Freeman's clubhouse presence. But I think Acuna and Albies and the rest of the team won a championship together. They don't really need one guy to be a leader anymore. They're all really good players, and they're all good enough to lead the team on their own. And I think they'll end up edging out the Mets. I think the Mets will make the playoffs as a wild card team with their dominant pitching. But the Braves are just the experienced team with the postseason run of the championship. I think they'll find a way to get to the season all through 162 games and win the division. On to the NL Central. NL Central is an interesting division to me because I think the Brewers and the Cardinals are really close in this one. I just think the Brewers are going to end up edging them out. I like the Brewers starting rotation so much, and I think that's going to just steal you enough games to win the division. You've got three guys that are dominant enough to go out and win games, and you've got the back end of the bullpen, where I believe Devin Williams will be back along with Josh Hader, that you can close out these games and you'll win one run. You win games where you only scored 2 runs, and that's how good teams make runs. You win games where you don't have the offense, and then the games where you don't have the starting pitching, the offense will step up and get the job done, so you end up winning those games. That's what makes the team really good, and I think that's what the Brewers have. They've got enough power on offense to get the job done with their pitching. I don't see them as a big threat in the National League. I think it's really between the Braves and the Dodgers as far as making a run goes. Like Dave Roberts already came out and said that he thinks the Dodgers are going to win the World Series, and he's not wrong for thinking that. But as far as NL Center goes, I think it's the Brewers. You've got just too much starting pitching. Brandon Woodruff, Freddie Peralta, Corbin Burns. It's just too dominant. Those three guys are too good. Like those guys are all number ones on most teams in the rest of the league. And who knows, maybe at the deadline they add some bats. I think Yelich will be more of himself this year, and I think they'll be the team that's really good. Having Willie Ademez for the full year would definitely help a lot too. On to the NL West, this has got to be the easiest prediction to make. It's the Dodgers. They're just so far ahead of everybody else. Like I said, how the American League East is so far ahead of the other divisions in the American League, I think the Dodgers are just so far ahead of every other team in the National League. Like, I'm not going to go out and say they're going to win the World Series, but I do think that they will make it. I think they're better than the Braves, they're better than the Brewers, better than the Cardinals, better than the Mets. I mean, maybe they end up losing a tough one in a series, like the way they lost to Washington when the Nationals had their run. But a lot's going to have to happen to beat the Brewers. They've got pitching, they've got bats, they've got young bats, they've got old bats, they've got everything you need to make a run and win a World Series. That's why Dave Roberts went out and said that they're going to win the championship. I believe they should be getting Trevor Bauer back at some point this year. He hasn't been in spring training, but he's cleared to play, and that adds a lot to your bullpen, to your starting rotation. They have the highest salary in the MLB for a reason. They add Freddie Freeman. Like they've got everything you need. So as far as the NL West goes, I think it's going to be them. The Diamondbacks, Rockies, they're completely out of it. The Giants and the Padres are still there. Giants are probably going to be a playoff team. Padres will be on the edge, depending how their Fernando Tatis injury goes and how well they play. But it's the Dodgers division to lose, and the Giants are a good team, but they're not on the same level as the Dodgers are. Dodgers are ahead of everybody else. Those are my predictions for who's going to win the divisions. Let me know what you guys think. Some of them very easy picks. Some of them pretty interesting with Blue Jays and the Twins. But as far as some of them relatively easy picks. Dodgers winning the NL Center, that's the easy one.